What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. So, do we just get right to it? We hearing about the GTA system in Greensboro, North Carolina, public transportation um, system. The bus drivers have pretty much what I like to say. Majority of them have went on a silent strike. So you know what that does is trickle down effect. Drivers don't get heard. It causes turmoil, panic, and everything. Um, People to scramble, trying to find ways to get to whatever means of business, work, appointments, whatever it may be. You know, and I was reading that people have been waiting since 6:30 this morning, which is today is November the 1st, 2022, and so people have, people were kind of hit from the blind side with this thing. And I'm pretty sure those, because I'm in transportation business myself. So I'm pretty sure there were writings on the wall and there were talks, there were whispers. Those or the higher ups heard about this thing going to go down. They just turned the cheek on it. Point in case why the drivers probably walked out because they're not being heard. We know it's a problem. They're not being heard. Many people will walk out from a job, and then you got to think about it being from a state like in North Carolina, a state where it's a non-union state, so employees are forced to fight or fend for themselves and try to have sit downs themselves with employers and try to hash things out. But see, what happens is a lot of times these people they're taking employees for granted, and their communication levels are low. They lack communication. And if you could just sit down and talk to people and explain to them why something can't get done, you know, you might have a better outcome. Maybe if you were to explain to drivers if it's issue with benefits or pay, we got to know one thing: it's one of those issues, benefits or pay. So, um, and respect. That's another thing too. That'll force many people to leave an industry, whatever said industry that is respect. The benefits are there or not. Some people take jobs, the pay may be good, so they may be able to handle the benefits, not being a lack in the benefits. Or some people have a clear understanding of whatever industry they're in. The benefits in that said industry they may lack certain benefits in certain industries. So that's all understood, and that's on the employee there. But not to get uh, sway from the whole topic here. Yeah, so we got to know that it's something why the drivers, the mass majority of them have pretty much, like I said, call it a silent walkout. And it's a perfect segue into one to talk about local and state governments, not just for North Carolina and the counties that within it, the 100 counties within the state of North Carolina, but other states around the country. Okay, this goes for many states around the country. See, that haven't been proactive early on years ago and stepped up and said, hey, we're going to raise our state wages as well. That's another issue here. I had a lot of candidates at this time running, for different offices, local and state level, and none of them are talking about the seriousness. We have you have the cost of living has drastically gone up. Okay, not just in this state, but around the country. And for you to have a state where you don't even address your state wages to raise them up and make it concrete and solid. Sorry. Uh, Benefits. Uh, we talk about what about this gouging going on with the housing? Because let's figure this out. If people are not getting paid, if people are not getting paid like that, then how are they able to afford a roof over their head? Okay, so we have to make that make sense. Okay, um, so there's nothing being talked about on that level right there. Uh, we have everything we need. We have gas going up, groceries, housing, and it's so ridiculous that everything that you need they have gone up on it, right? And it's so ridiculous because you have some people, some places are just making excuses to raise their prices on whatever items or whatever it is you need. They're just raising, and you're like, why? So we hear around the country about even the cost of eggs are going up. So you say, what the what the fuck? The chickens are in inflation too? what they're dumping them out by the minute. What's the problem there? What's the problem with the eggs? Um, but just to go deeper, from me being in the trucking industry, even the truck drivers are being those who are really the over the road drivers and owner operators. Mainly the owner operators are feeling the squeeze where they're being lowballed with the cost to ship the goods. Okay, so it's like, okay, so where's the gap? Where's there? Why is there an inflation here when even the drivers are being forced? So some drivers are just like, even today, it's a strike on drivers, truck drivers around the country. If anybody didn't know that, they plan to strike between today and tomorrow, from November the 1st to November the 2nd, because of benefits and pay. You know what I mean? And just the treatment. Okay. So with the drivers, they they're being forced because you have brokers that are trying to lowball them for deliveries or pickups or whatever. They're trying to lowball them, and so they're like, look, we're tired of this. I've known many that had to shut down their own thing if they had their own trucks, and just get on and go backwards and get on with a company because they just can't afford the fuel. They can't afford to survive. It costs a lot to own your own tractor. So, you know, those are those type of things. So we like, okay, doing this inflation, we know that this type inflation, somebody's making the money, okay? But nobody's trying to pay the people who need to be paid, okay? If you gotta pay the people. It's costing out here for people to live. You have to pay people. So when we think about somebody who is just an owner operator, even you have even beyond the owner operators, you have smaller companies and larger companies that have also shut down, trucking companies that have shut down in the last 5 years. Okay, and you know, and when you're an owner operator, you don't you have a bill for that truck you have to pay. Fuel, tires, the maintenance, making sure you have a substantial amount of funds put away or available for you to use in these events. And you bank on making a certain amount to keep you rolling, so you can also take care of the truck and have a roof over your head as well. So there's a squeeze going on with that. And so, like I said, everybody talks about this inflation, but I feel on another hand there's a lot of price gouging going on, and I feel that uh, it needs to be something said on the state level. You know, on state levels, it needs to be something said. And we hearing this whole type of rhetoric going back and forth. I'm hearing these local elections, and you're hearing these folks that going back and forth with same old whack, corny arguments. And it's like, when are you going to address the things that are really affecting the people? When are you going to address the things that's really affecting the people? Because at this point, everybody is affected. Is no one exempt from the cost? Now, you may make more money. Some may make more money than others, but we're still at the end of the day affected by the cost of goods. And at some point, there has to be some type of, you know, plan, action, plan of action put in place, because it is at this point really outrageous. And so that just goes all the way back, and I just try to give you a little timeline of how these things are triggered all the way down the board, where you have a lot of everything that you get in your home is brought in. It's from the boat to a truck. Everything you look around your home, everything you have, even your vehicle, is brought to you by a truck driver. Okay? So when there's a tight squeeze on that, and then they're not getting paid, you're going to have a problem there too. Okay? And then that trickles down, and then so now we hearing, like I said, with Greensboro, with the local transportation, with the bus drivers there in Greensboro, the GTA system, including the parts bus, they're on a silent strike. And we know when people strike, is about pay. Either way you look at it, about pay, either the actual pay rates or your benefits. And so from my understanding, the GTA, the Greensboro Public Transit, they're not under the city. They're not city bus drivers, like employees. They're contracted through another said company. I knew the name of them at one time. I knew it was a company based out of Chicago at one time. Now it's somebody else. I don't know the name offhand. But so my thing is, and the mayor Nancy Vaughn says, yeah, this is unacceptable. A strike is unacceptable. Yeah, it is unacceptable, Nancy. It really is. It's unacceptable all around the board. But we have to remember one thing. You're talking about is unacceptable because of the general public are not able to catch mass transit at this time. Well, I wouldn't say mass transit because it's just the bus. They don't have a mass transit. So you're saying that it's unacceptable because the residents that need to catch the public transportation bus, they can't get on it because it's a strike. You're saying it's unacceptable. You're right. But maybe if you stood behind those drivers, if the city got behind those drivers and stood behind them, maybe you wouldn't have this problem. You see, as always, I've talked about this, and if you follow my channel, I always talked about the kick in the can effect. And what we're saying today, ladies and gentlemen, kick in the can effect. You're seeing in all sectors, many places around the country, man, the things have been falling apart, man. So many different things have been coming out on different companies, states, and corporations, and all types of things. And things have been literally falling apart for people, and we get to see it today. We get to see it today, and every day you've been seeing it, and you like to wonder, like, people making statements like Nancy Vaughn, and that lets me know when that woman, she's the mayor of Greensboro, don't even know why she's back in there, but again, yeah, that statement about this is unacceptable. People have to get to work and this and that. You right. But this should have been thought about, and maybe if you had a company that had a contract with your city over your transportation, your bus, your public bus transportation. Uh, Maybe if you guys were overseeing that, maybe you wouldn't have this right now going on. Okay, people like to scramble at the last minute and then want to try to fix things in 20 minutes. Big issue that's been brewing for years. They want to try to fix it in 20 minutes. No, there's things that need to be put in writing. People need to be happy with whatever agreements and everything. You just can't think that people are just gonna go and be happy in 20 minutes over something that's been brewing and trying to get their side heard and nobody's listening to them. Like I said, I'm gonna go right back to it and say this just didn't happen. This was not like for the public. They got hit from the blind side, but I'm pretty sure the city had heard. There's been mumbles or whispers that this might happen today. Uh, the company who has the contract for the GTA system in Greensboro, they heard. But you know what happened? They didn't listen. They didn't try to get in front of it, in front of the problem. They waited till it happened, and now they're chasing behind the problem instead of getting out in front of it and trying to fix it and trying to resolve it. If it was an issue where it couldn't be resolved, well, it wouldn't make. If it was an issue where whatever the drivers were asking and it couldn't be kind of fixed at that moment, that's where communication comes in, and you communicate and explain to them what's going on, why certain things can't happen, what you've been trying to do, and show what you've been trying to do. It's all about communication, and that's the main thing. A lot of folks are in these industries. They don't have communication skills, and this causes a breakdown all around the board. If you ever see a good corporation or hear about a good corporation, and you hear many, you some of the things you hear employees that may say, and I'm not going to single out a corporation or anything. I'm just going to say this. And you hear many people some people that work for good corporations or even smaller companies, you'll hear them say, yeah, they treat us well. You know, we're respected. We're treated as people. They listen to us. It's an open door policy. See, whenever you have an open door policy too, that can eliminate a lot of problems where you're not chasing behind a problem. You're getting out in front of it because you're leaving the door open for whatever issues. Now we know some people just have issues all the time, and it's beyond work. But we're talking about work. If somebody has an issue, it's an open door policy. The company has an open door policy. You can rarely have problems in that situation because the door is always open for you to come talk and let them know how you're feeling about whatever's going on. They're tapping in with their employees. They're saying how everything's going, what can be done better. But when you get greed into play and they start looking, and you get companies that have dollar signs in their eyes, and they start looking at their employees as a number and not people, or looking at employees as a thing and not a person, you will have these problems. You will have these problems, and this will continue to happen. I mean, Greensboro has had problems from, we heard from police department would pay, city workers would pay, everything, county workers. But meanwhile, you have like state government, mayor, the governor included. They've given themselves raises in the midst of the pandemic. We talking towards the end of in the middle of 2020, probably towards, I want to say between 2020 and 2021. you know, on a state level, they were giving raises. But you know, you'll have like, city workers and things in certain counties and stuff getting pennies. But meanwhile, groceries aren't cheap. Your rent isn't cheap. Everything is going up. Uh, Maybe you're trying to find a home, buy a home. You can't. It's not enough inventory. And then the inventory that is there, those homes are astronomically high and just don't make sense. And the homes and the reason why it doesn't make sense, because you have a $300,000 home in a neighborhood that the homes were just 3 years ago maybe worth no more than $160,000. Now these homes are going for $300,000, and you try to figure out, how does this make sense? How does this make sense? So when the bow breaks, it's gonna be something serious. You know what I mean? Um, because this won't stay the same. You know. But yeah, that's my rant. I'm gonna get off the soapbox. But when I seen that, I was like, wow, perfect segue into talk about even the local government and the things that I'm hearing on the news. I mean, well, not the news. I don't pay too much attention to the local news too much like that. I'm looking at world news and things of that nature. But uh, like when you when you just tap in, man, and you see what's going on, and you're seeing these folks running for these local offices and stuff like that in the state, for these local seats. I don't hear anything they're addressing that's like addressing the right now, like fixing or trying to get to the right now. See, if you guys have been following me early on, you'll know, like I said at the very beginning, I was like, when I started coming back doing the start of COVID, I started coming back speaking to everyone on my channel here. I was like, you're gonna get to see during these times what these folks in local government are really made of. Who's gonna be the standout? Who's really gonna be tired with the people? You know, you don't even have to go hard. You're gonna see who's gonna be really trying to make change. These folks are spending a lot of money on marketing and promotion and ads and things of that nature, talking about absolutely nothing. You know, talking about absolutely nothing. They're arguing about things that, like, that's not what's really affecting the people, man. Like, let's argue about what's affecting the people. Let's put that out there. No one wants to hear about you blowing a whistle now because you're trying to get in the office for something. You should have blew that whistle years ago. Don't wait till you trying to run now. How the people gonna trust you if you if you ain't say nothing when it was going on? Now that you want to position yourself, now you want to say something. Now you want to pretty much like blow the whistle on someone, saying what they didn't do or what monies they took from this group. Come on, man. Nobody's here for that. People want to hear what you're gonna do for them seriously today. So the price, the gouging on the rent, I feel that's unnecessary. Why are we going up on the rents? You hear people talking about they're renting out places. Why are you going up on the rent? But you could talk to that local maintenance man, and he'll be like, hey, have you got a raise during this whole time? He might tell you no. He might have done went through about 2 management companies because one company done shut down, or they done changed the name to another company because they don't, you know how they do that thing. What I'm talking about, you know. So yeah, but you ask that maintenance man, hey, have you if it's an apartment complex or whatever, you say, hey, have you got a raise during this time? Because I know the rent went up. Have you got a raise? More than likely you're gonna hear no. More than likely it ain't gonna add up to what they're charging. Um, and the same thing with these homes. There's no way on earth, I'm just thankful and glad that I'm in a position that, you know, my family's straight. but I try to pass on the knowledge that I can, and that I have, to the people. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. Keep your eyes up. Be blessed. Keep your chin up. Talk to y'all next time.